and your 2024 Emerald Cup Natural Men's Physique Open Overall Champion, Rodney Reagans. I've been waiting to do that all day. I've been waiting to do that all
Let's
day. What's up,
go.
man?
What's up, brother? That's how
Oh
you do
man.
an intro. Heck
Uh,
yeah.
uh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lean and Lionhearted podcast. I'm your host, AJ Quimson, IFBB Pro, and I'm here with, like I just said, Mr. Natural Emerald Cup, Rodney Reagans. How you doing, my man?
Yes, sir. Doing great, man. Doing great. Feeling blessed. Very happy to be here finally on the podcast. Let's get it.
Finally here. So I'm gonna jump straight into it. What was it like, going on stage for the first time, and after everything that we talked about, looking out at the lights and waiting for them to call your name
Oh,
as the champ?
oh man. It was nerve-wracking. I was sitting there behind stage, and everything you said was true. The lights were hot, the stage was big, and no matter what you do, you can't control your body for some reason. You can't stop it from shaking. And it's just, at the same time, it's probably one of the best feelings that you can ever have. Um, Something that I hadn't felt in a really long time. But I can't really even put it into words, man. Without you like being there, it's just, it's magical. It really, really, really is. It really is.
When they called your before they called your name out as the champ, and you were sitting on the side with the other guys, like, what was it? What did it feel like? What was going through your head?
I was actually preparing myself to not win. I was
Really?
just, yeah, I was hyping myself. There were some really good dudes there, and I was like, man, I don't know. It's definitely a possibility that I'm not gonna win. So I was just preparing myself to congratulate the other guy because I don't know. Just I never expect you never expect yourself to do the things that you set out to do, and you're sitting there and you're like a few seconds away from accomplishing this massive goal, and then all of a sudden you're thinking it might not happen. What if it doesn't happen? So the whole time I was just thinking, let me prepare myself for that because that is more of a possibility than of it actually happening. So that's all I could think about, really. It's
Yeah.
really all I was thinking about was how, like, make sure you congratulate the other dude. Make sure you continue to smile after they call the other dude's name. Don't like make no facial expressions that makes you look like a bad person. That's I just wanted to be happy for the other guy, and because like we talked about before, regardless, everybody has their own journey, and we had worked our butts off to get to that point. So we had already won. I mean, all the weight we dropped, on the look we pulled off. I I'm like outside and I was just looking at myself, even in their like reflection of the car, getting ready. Like, oh, can't is that me? Oh my god! Like it was it was already like the biggest win in. It was great, man. It was great.
Yeah. It's funny because, the competitive spirit that you have, that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, when you're a competitor, as it's coming up to it, you're like, dude, I'm gonna win this. Nobody's doing this. And then as it gets closer, you're like, all right, well, I'm not sure. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. And then right before, you're like, I just don't want to be super disappointed, and I want to make sure I'm
Yep.
still a good sport. So like,
Yeah.
I don't want to. That was a big thing for me. I was like, yeah, if I don't win, I don't want to take away from the experience of the other guy because I was being an asshole or anything like that.
Exactly. Exactly. You hear your old coaches in your back of your head. Go out there and shake hands. Good game. That's how you have to treat it, and that's just ingrained in you no matter what. So, as as cocky as we were coming up to the show, reality definitely reality definitely set in when you walked in the venue and you see everybody else and how amazing they look. It was it was a heck of an experience, man. It was life changing for sure.
Yeah. So was it everything that you thought it was going to be, or was it different?
It dwarfed everything I thought it was going to be. To be completely honest with you, completely honest with you. I mean, and I think I would have the same response even if I would have lost, just because the people that I met, um,
Hmm.
the guys who ran the whole thing, Ribix Productions. I know it was my first show, but it was they treated us like we were freaking superstars, man. Behind stage, they had everything we needed. They had bands, they had water, they had answers, which was super important for all the new guys, especially me. um, and the show ran super smooth. Like I was messaging you, talking to you the entire time, and it was like, oh, they're here at bodybuilding. Oh, they're getting ready to freaking do the finals, and it was just moving. Everything was flowing. Then that doesn't even go to talk about the guys that I met backstage. That like I think that's what I'm going to take away the most was the people. You hear all the time about the brotherhood that this community brings together, and I mean it's a grind to get into it, but once you're there and you're behind that stage and you see all the hard work everyone else puts in, and you finally go talk to someone and you realize that everyone's not mean, it's a game changer. Because the way everyone looks, I mean, everyone looks just unbelievable. So you expect everyone to be like rude or just super in the zone, and you finally
Yeah.
start talking to them, and it's like, oh, damn, they're new too, or damn, they had the same journey as me, and next thing you know, you've been back there talking for half an hour and almost forgot to pump up.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it's not always like that, but in the amateur, I think it's like more often like that. I think people tend to think that bodybuilders are kind of assholes and, really full of themselves. They don't want to talk. But I would say, in my experience, like at least 80%, there's still a good amount that are assholes, but a lot of them, they're actually super friendly, and especially when you're
Yeah,
backstage, because you know how hard it was to get there, and you just kind of have this mutual respect for everybody. Like without saying anything, you know that you're all into something, at least one thing that's similar, and you all have the same level of dedication and discipline to be able to get up there, and it's pretty cool, right?
yeah, I agree. I agree. The dedication is a big part of it, because you yourself knowing what it takes to get there, just to even make it backstage, the months that it takes, the years that it takes to make it backstage, and then you see other guys there, and it's like, man, hell yeah, he made it too. He made it too. And then even now with social media, guys post stuff early before shows, and you get to see them, you get to see their progress. Then you finally see them backstage, and it's very 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 humbling. I'll tell you that, because Instagram stuff on Instagram, guys are a lot bigger in person. That is for sure. But
Oh, now you think they're bigger in person. The day before the show,
yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
everyone's smaller.
yeah. No, that was for the NPC show, the natural show. There's some dudes there that I had seen before the show that showed up, and I was
Hmm.
like, oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't know he was that wide. I didn't know he was that tall. It is, but that's when I texted you, remember, and I was like, this might not be a sweep like we thought. Like I was like, there's some freaking dudes here, man. This isn't gonna be easy. And then you had the best response to that, and that was good. We don't want it to be. And that's all I needed to hear, really. That really set my mindset
Yeah.
up to, yeah, that put me in the right mindset of, all right, not necessarily you
Yeah.
be you, but it'll be what it's gonna be. You've done the work. You go out there and show it. Be proud of yourself. And I even relayed that
Yeah.
message to the other guys, because once we finally started talking, I realized that, oh, these dudes are new just like me. They're looking for confidence
Hmm.
just like me. They're nervous just like me. So best thing I could do is just try to make everybody comfortable. But just
Yeah.
have a good time, man. We're all new. We're all in the same boat.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it is. Plus, it's like, if you're gonna win one, you want it to be against some good guys. You don't want to be like, oh,
Yeah,
you know, I don't want to be like some D1 football player playing against the Pee Wee League and then be like, oh, I won.
yeah,
You want to play against some good competition, right?
yeah.
Um,
when they look up the stats, for sure, you want it to be against some legit
yeah,
boys, for sure.
yeah, it means more. But going back to the beginning, man, like tell everyone like who you are, where are you from, what do you do?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, hello, everyone. My name's Rodney. I'm from a small town in Crockett, Texas. Breeds a small town in Texas called Crockett. Breeds hella athletes, and it's a very impressive place to come from. What's up? Shout out to Crockett. But I want to redo that. Can I redo that? Can I redo
Good.
that?
I
Oh,
mean, this is raw,
yeah.
so we're gonna leave it. But good.
Oh no. Oh well. Hello everyone. My name's Rodney. I'm from Crockett, Texas. Grew up, actually ended up growing up in Chandler. Played sports my whole life. All the sports: baseball, basketball, football, track and field. Later in high school, um, ended up playing football in college for a bit. Suffered a few injuries that ended up derailing that and knocked it off pretty early. There's a lot of people with that story. Ended up kind of lost, stumbling around for like the last 10 years, trying to figure out what I wanted to do and how I'm going to get through this life without sports. And trying to find my identity outside of that. And ended up reminding myself that I like being in the gym, and decided to get back to basics and got back in the gym, started working out every day, and met AJ, and the rest has been history. Really, it's gonna be history.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think you have like a really similar story. I think for most people, sports only last so long, but when you're in sports and you're competing and you're practicing all the time, like even though you want to say that it's not your life, it kind of is your life. It's kind of
Yeah.
more or less, it's a large part of your identity. You're like, even when I was bodybuilding, like I was like, I'm not just a bodybuilder. And then all of a sudden when it was over, I was like, damn, maybe I was,
Yeah.
So what was it like
Yeah.
for you, man, after football ended? Like, what were you trying to just figure out
Oh,
what's next for you? Like, how was that?
yeah. I mean, that's a really good question. Life for me after football. Uh, I haven't really dwelled into that much, but it was tough. I was really that was me. I was the linebacker that just loved knocking people out. I got excited. That's where I was really passionate about that sport. I loved it. I still love it to this day. And after that was gone, I kind of there was a massive hole. So life for me after that wasn't the greatest, but it was. You know how people describe those valleys and mountains.
Hmm.
They're inevitable, and that was definitely a valley section for me. Um, but I'm definitely crawling my way out of that now. But I'd say it was more so stuff just got real, man. It was all right. You're not playing sports now. What do you got to do to be an adult? I guess find a job. And all my friends and stuff, my family and stuff, all of that was like football. Rodney, the football player, the football player, the football player. How's football going? Yada yada yada. So you know, um, once I lost football, I kind of didn't know how to connect with others because that was my thing. So, I just kind of crawled into my shell like a hermit and worked all these odd jobs and traveled around and just kind of tried to figure it out for a really long time. I did a bunch of stuff from like pest control to freaking spraying for termites, drilling houses, hanging drywall, to insulation, landscaping, everything, just whatever would pay at the moment. Um, and now I'm a freaking construction supervisor. I work for a top 100 company in the nation, and we've got a really good division out here, and really hit the ground running. I feel like I'm finally got my feet on the ground. Like finally got my feet on the ground. I'm standing up and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But it definitely took a long time to get here, long journey to get here. But I'm very grateful for it. Everything that I went through, everything that I didn't want to do, that I ended up having to do. I think it set me up perfectly for this journey that I'm going on now with the bodybuilding. And just excited to still be here. I'm excited to still be able to be around, to be able to experience all this. And yeah, it's a very humbling and blessed feeling that I've had. This prep that we just went through was long, and it was a grind. I don't think it was like as hard as some of the horror stories I've heard from some other guys, but uh, being in prep, it'll definitely pull some character out of you. Like the movie Holes, and they said digging holes builds character. Being in prep is like digging a big, big hole, bro. For a really long time. You're doing the same shit every day. You pick up that shovel, you dig a little deeper until you hit gold, man. But I think some of the things that I went through over the last 10 years kind of made it not so hard, because I did a lot of that digging, that same type of digging for shit that I didn't really want to do. And I think that now that I was able to pick up the shovel and do that same digging for something that I was actually wanted to do and that I was passionate about, it made all the difference. And it made it that much easier for me to get through it. And I kind of used that the entire prep to motivate myself, to say, if I do say so myself. It was,
Yeah, man. So you had that discipline and that drive from doing other stuff that was less fun than this, and then now when you did it for something that you actually wanted to do, it was a lot easier to transfer that skill over.
definitely, definitely. The skill
Yeah.
definitely translate. But that was a lesson too that I had to learn, was that all the bad things that I went through weren't necessarily bad, you know? Maybe at that moment I felt that they were bad, but now that I look back on them, it's like, oh man, that was a fantastic lesson that I learned. How now I know how to do this or do that, or how can I apply that to my job, yada yada yada. Like, I manage a full construction site. I have to deal with some pretty crazy stuff that every single day. So that's teaching me a lot as well. It's like going to class every day. It's learning something new, and it's coupling that with building my body at the same time. It's been a whirlwind of change and growth over this last 2 3 years. But I'm excited to see where it's going to take me, and I'm excited to see what I can use my other lessons for in the future.
Yeah, I love that. So take me back to like 2 or 3 years ago when you first decided to get back in shape. Like, what was that about? Like, what? Well, first, how out of shape were you, and then what sparked the interest to get back in shape?
Yeah, I'd say I was pretty bad, man. It's even when I tell people, they always say, "Oh, there's no way. I can't even picture you. I can't imagine that you were that big." And I have to. Literally have a like photo saved in my phone that I can quickly pull up to show people, because no one believes me. But at my worst, I was 272 pounds, um, on a good day. Yeah, so it's pretty big. Not, and the crazy part is that I didn't even think I was that big. Living in it every day, you see yourself every day. I mean, in
Hmm.
high school and college, of course, I was an athlete, so I was decently in shape there. Not perfectly in shape like I was now, or I am now, but I was in decent shape for being a college athlete. But yeah, I was my what did you call it? Your boxer top when it rolls over? Your fat
I don't know what
rolls
that's
rolling
called.
over the top of your boxers and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what it's
I
called,
had
but yeah, it's like right at the love handles when your boxer you're
yeah.
sitting down and then you feel the elastic in your boxers just fold over. I'm like, damn, dude.
Yeah, yeah, I was there for sure, for sure. Almost probably to the point the boxes, top of the boxes are probably rolled over at all times. But I think it came at a point where I was I was at well, let's take it back a little bit more. To get to that point, I was drinking every day. So I was working hard labor jobs, and then after that, you go home and you want to have a beer, and that beer was good. So you want to have another beer. That beer was good, so you want to have another beer. Next thing you know, yeah, you drank a whole six pack and you're a little tipsy going to bed. And that became routine. And being a person of routine, growing up in college and sports, that became what you do when you get off. I go to work. get off, I go to drink till I get sleepy, I eat dinner and go to bed, wake up and do it again. Because as being an athlete since I was younger, you're kind of brainwashed to eat, sleep, train, repeat, and stick to that until the job is done. And without having anything else to fill that void, I use alcohol to fill it. So that will blow you up quick. So I would say probably when I started doing that, I was like maybe 235, 225, and yeah, like I said, I got up to like 272, and the love handles were loving for sure. And knowing my body type, that's where I hold all of my great body fat. Likes to hang out around my hips and midsection. So of course, I was losing weight everywhere else, and those love handles like to stick around. You know, a little bit even still. But
Forever,
yeah,
forever.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, I
Uh,
would say just a combination of alcohol every day and working a hard label job. You don't really have time to prep no meals, or I didn't even really know anything about meal prepping. I didn't, you explained that to me like, I'd say not even a freaking year ago. You're like, dude, you got to freaking look at your macros and like know what's going into your body. And I was like, oh yeah, nah, I just kind of eat not as much on the weekdays and eat what I want on the weekend. um, but yeah, man, dirty eating, fast food for lunches, grabbing what you can after dinner, and alcohol. It's a monster. It'll turn you upside down quick if you allow it to. But
yeah, yeah. It's like you were saying earlier. Right? It's one of those things where you're gradually getting worse, and you see yourself every day. So it's not like you really notice. Just like when you're dieting down, like it's pretty hard to notice the incremental changes until it's real good. Except when you're getting fat, it ends up being real bad. Then one day you're like,
yeah,
oh damn, I'm not looking so hot.
yeah.
Um, so I guess when you decided to finally get in shape, like what sparked that? Like what you just wake up one day and you're like, I need to get my ass back in shape, or what
Dude,
happened?
so this journey actually started back in your like last year of being a pro, like 2018. Um, I decided I wanted to. That's the first time that I decided I wanted to stop drinking and like get back in shape and be the athlete that I was. Kind of deal. You know, you kind of get upset with
Hmm.
yourself when you're drinking and you're like, you wake up that next morning and you're all feeling like shit and you're like, God dang, why did I do that? Why do I keep doing this to myself? I can't believe I did. Why? Yeah, yada, yada, yada. And it was like, I'm all right. I'm going to get myself back together. I'm going to go in the gym. I'm going to get back to the Rodney that I was. I'm going to get back to that guy that I was, that athlete that I was to when I was at my happiest, yada, yada, yada. And it just kind of fell off again. So I started going to the gym for maybe 3 or 4 months, and I got in really, really good shape again. Probably back down to like 225. Was like pressing 800, 900 pounds, benching close to 400 again, and I was feeling real good. And then life changed again. Had to ended up moving. Uh, sold a house and moved into our RV and started traveling. So life like completely changed. Got a job opportunity up here in Washington, so that's what happened with all that. Ended up traveling for work and didn't have time to hit the gym anymore. Was really grinding for work. Traveling back and forth between here and Alaska and Arizona. At this point, I was installing football fields and artificial turf baseball fields, and at schools all over the place. Money was really good, and I was like, well, I got to make this money now, so let's get it, let's work, But the drinking never stopped because, again, still doing hard labor, and the first thing you want after doing hard labor all day is a nice cold beer. So I did that for a few years and kind of got back into that same routine. And again, why am I doing this to myself? I want to stop. I want to get back into the shape I was. And that was this last December 24th of 2023. Was it 2023? 2022.
22, 22.
Yeah, 2022. that was the last night I got drunk, the night before Christmas. And then I woke up that next morning and went in the gym and tried to literally kill myself. I just pushed it as hard as I could, did everything, and completely overtrained to the point where I like couldn't put my arms straight, and it hurt to walk because the vibration from the steps would, send a shockwave through my muscles, and it literally pained me.
Oh yeah.
And um, I think literally that was a moment, like feeling that pain and feeling that hurt all over my body. I don't know, it like snapped something in my head, and it like woke me up, and I wanted more of it for some reason. I was like, oh, I miss that feeling. I miss that feeling of soreness. I miss that feeling of hard work. I was like, that's what I've been missing. That feeling of accomplishment after a long day, um, that you kind of only get or understand if you've been an athlete, like a true grinding type of athlete, like you do in college sports and high level high school sports. It's a different beast. It's a different feel when you're grinding towards something for a long time, and you feel that pain on your body, and you know you're headed in the right direction, kind of deal. You're like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. We're getting there. We're getting there. Because that's all they being to you. If it don't hurt, you're not doing it right. If it don't hurt, if you're not feeling it, you're not growing. No pain, no gain, kind of deal. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, feeling that, it changed the game for me, man. And I just went back every day. And I told myself, no matter what, I'm gonna go back every day. I could barely move my arms, and I just kept going every day. If a body part was hurting too bad, I would do a different body part. And next thing you know, some guys in the gym started like, talking to you. They noticed that you've been coming, because no matter what, people are always watching, even if you think they're not. People are always looking at you. People are paying attention. People are looking around. They see who comes to the gym regularly. They see who's not there regularly. They see who's working hard. They see who's pushing themselves and who's not. No matter if they say anything or not, people are kind of always looking around. You can't help it. It's human nature. So some guys started coming up to me, and they were like, dude, you look pretty sick. You've been in here killing it. And keep going, keep going. And that just motivated me to keep pushing harder, because I was like, yeah, doing it. I'm really on the right track. And I was checking my weight every day, and it was dropping. And I was starting to see a couple top of my abs starting to come out again. And I was like, oh, I forgot I used to have those. And I remember taking pictures, like even I was probably still like 250. And I'm like taking pictures of myself, and I'm like, yeah, it's coming in, it's coming in. I'm like, my traps are starting to pop again, and starting to feel good. And you start getting a little confidence, so you want to keep going more. And next thing you know, we're winning trophies. So it's it's been a
Yeah.
wild ride.
Yeah, it's well, one, it just goes to show like people kind of overestimate what they can do in 3 months, but it's only been what, 14 months since you made the decision or something like that. And you
Yeah.
went from 270 to at your lowest, what was it? 189, 191?
We hit 186 like 2 weeks,
Oh, that's
like
right.
the
Yeah.
day before the show. We hit 186, like no, like 2 days before the show, before we started
Oh,
the
that's
carb
right.
up. And
Yeah.
we were like,
So
oh
that's
crap.
yeah.
Eat, 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 eat,
Yeah.
eat, eat, eat.
Yeah. So you're down almost 100 pounds, right? That's pretty nuts. It's crazy to say.
I literally just realized that like
Yeah.
right
I
now.
think in the post that I made, I put 70 because you said 265, and then I was like, wait a minute, it was like 80. And then now it's actually, or you said 265, and yeah. But now it turns out it's like 86 pounds or something like that, which is nuts.
Oh
Um
man.
so um
Whoa.
what what obstacles were you facing when you were trying to get in shape on your own? Like you got in the gym and you started working out, but in the beginning you weren't able to kind of stick to it 100%. You kind of were like on this off and on thing. And so like what was stopping you from being on track and taking it to the next level?
I would say hmm, outside, just outside sources, wanting to focus on other things, worrying about other things that weren't important in my life at the time. Um, just not focusing on what was always calling to me, kind of deal. Because obviously the gym has always been kind of right there, like, hey, this is where you're supposed to be. Hey, get over here. Hey, come to the gym. Hey, get over here. And I've just kind of been like, yeah, I know you're there, but I'll be there whenever. You'll be there. I'll get there whenever I get to it. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. I want to go hang out with these guys. I want to go party here. I want to be a college student. I want to live a regular life, kind of deal. Because like I said, growing up as an athlete, everything was go, 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 do, do, do. And I was used to that. And there was a moment there where I didn't want it. I wanted to be away from it. So I distanced myself away from that and everything that I knew around that, um, because I felt that I had kind of failed at it, I guess. So it's like, well, that didn't work. I'm not going to sit here and dwell in it. Let's go and do something else. And that kind of kept me from being able to focus on it because I was kind of fighting myself. I guess you could say I didn't want to. I didn't want to go back into the sport to be this sport guy again. I wanted to find another way to be happy. I guess like sports didn't do me right. Sports you did me wrong. I don't want to. I can find another way to be happy. I don't need to. I don't need it to be sports. But I mean, obviously, if it's bred into you, I guess it's bred into you. So yeah, I would say that it was kind of more so my own mind, um, and really when I think about it, that's kind of been my biggest freaking battle, my biggest demon these whole past like 10 years is my own mind. You go from not really having to think for yourself much, I guess you could say, and to not having anyone around, not knowing what to really do. So the mind's a terrible thing when it's idle. Very terrible thing. Um, so yeah, I'd say that was the hardest part was just getting through my own head and buckling down and actually believing that I could still do things that I wanted to do and I could still be an athlete and it didn't have to be through the sport of football.
Yeah. So, how did you hear about Team Lighthearted? What made you want to sign up?
Dude, I was like scrolling on Instagram and looking for freaking looking for like not so fat ways to like eat food and stuff and like still enjoy good stuff and not eat boring diets like just eat broccoli kind of deal because from the outside looking in that's all you think you can do like oh you guys just eat like chicken and rice and broccoli and how do you do that kind of deal and then you're posting stuff like don't be a dumbass. Yeah, don't be a dumbass. Like you can do this, you can do that. And I was like, oh, this dude is freaking dope. So I ended up following you, and then for some freaking reason, you messaged me, and you're like, hey man, how's it going? Just like straight up, instantly nice. And I was like, oh, why the heck is this dude talking to me? I even told my girlfriend like, yo, look. I was like, check this out. This freaking fitness dude just followed me. This shit is crazy. And like, hey man, like how's it going? And then for some reason I was super comfortable. We hadn't even talked or chatted or nothing, and we just like instantly hit it off. And I was like, oh, it was like a relief almost when I you messaged me. It's like I need someone to talk to, and I just like freaking let it go. I just dumped it all on you. Like, hey man, I've been trying to do this, yada 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 yada. This is what I've been doing. This is what I'm trying to do. I like laid it all out, and you're just like, oh, holy crap! Like, look, sounds like you're on the right track. You didn't try to sell me on nothing. You weren't like, well, sign up for this or that or that. You're just like, adjust this, adjust that, try to do this, and I'll check back in with me or whatever. And I was like, that's it. That's all. Like, you don't want to like try to sell me on something or nothing. Like, it was awesome, man. And freaking, I did what you told me to do, and then I think I still have the messages. I could go back through my phone and it's like, hey, I was messaging you like, hey, what about this? What about that? And boom, answers instantly. I was like, man, who is this dude? Why is he so nice? And next thing you know, I lost freaking like 50 pounds and I was looking like an athlete again and I was in shape. I was even hiking like 10 plus miles every single weekend. They're taking my shirt off while I was doing it for some reason. I just was really feeling myself. The confidence was there already. And people were starting to tell me that I looked good. And that made all the difference, man. When you're on the right track and things are working out for you, you won't have to ask people if you're doing the right things. They'll definitely come up and tell you. And that's definitely something I learned on this journey for sure. So since you had been helping me this whole time, and I was like, man, I'm looking good and I'm feeling myself, and people are telling me that I look great, and I got this dude that's on my side, and he seems like he really wants to like help me out. I think I'm gonna give this thing a shot. I think I want to be an athlete, man. This is like that's what I was born to do. I want to freaking train. I want to freaking be in the shit. I want to freaking have a schedule. I want to, be working towards something. Because this right here, this what I'm doing. This isn't it. This idle shit is boring. It's killing me, literally.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I'm sitting down and had the conversation like, is this something that I should really do or not? Because I freaking knew like before we even started, I was like, if I take this step and we start doing this, it's gonna get legit. It's gonna be real. Because I had for some reason in my head like I could see this figure. I could see like I knew like man, if I freaking buckle down, I can be sick. Like I can look legit. And Joe's like, put your money where your mouth is, and if you're gonna do it, freaking do it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. Don't you call me out? That competitiveness comes out. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and I wrote you this long ass message, and I was just like, yo, if I want to get like serious about this and step on stage, and I gave you a date and I gave you a show, and we were what, like 9 months out. I wrote you this long ass message, like trying to explain, like, just listen to me, just hear me out, kind of deal. And you're like, oh yeah, dude, I think I can help you. You're like, easy. Here's my phone number. Call me. And I was like, oh shit. Because I was like, I don't know. You're like, you're expecting it to take more time than that. I really was.
Shit
Like,
got too real too fast.
yeah, man. I was like, okay, well, all right, God, let's do it then. I've asked you to help me. I asked you to get me out of this situation. You showed me this path. I'm going to follow it. And everything seems to be lining itself up. So let's go for it. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table after me and you had chatted, and you gave me, like, what was it? 12 hours? 24 hours? You gave me a freaking time limit, dude. You're like, you got this long to decide if you're going to do it or not. And I was like, oh, dang. Okay. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and I literally like tears started rolling down my eyes, and I was like, I got this like deep anxiety, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I should do this because it's gonna be so hard. I remember thinking that like, oh, dude, this is gonna be so freaking hard. Like, I don't want to start doing this and fail. I'm so tired of starting stuff and failing it. It's exhausting, you know? And it's just like, I don't know if I can take starting something and failing at it again. And then something in my head was just like, then don't fail. Don't quit. Just see it through. And it was like, all right, then I'm going to do it. and then I responded to you and I said, all right, let's do it. And you were super excited and like very happy. And I was like, man, I got the right guy. He believes in me. Like, and also that is probably one of the most important things. Having people believe in you. It is fantastic because you can say you're going to do all these things and say that you want to do all these things, but you can motivate yourself, but that is hard. It's very hard to motivate yourself every single day, especially when the journey's long, when it's going to take months to get to to land that plane. it's it's something that it takes a village. It's like we we did a photo shoot after with a trophy, and I freaking held it like a baby because I was like, this is a labor of love. It took months for me to birth this sucker. It took months for me to to make this baby to get this freaking trophy. And that
Yeah.
was like probably the best analogy. After I said it, it really stuck with me. I was like, man, that was a good one because that is really how it felt. It was it's something I'll probably one of the best feelings that I've ever had in my life was was seeing this mission through and accomplishing it after trying and failing at sports, trying and failing at different business venues, trying to do other things and failing at those, and trying in the gym and trying to go back and stopping and over and over and over again. And it's like, this is just the time. It's now or never. I had, when I started it, I was 32, just had, I was 32 years old. And it was like, well, you're in your 30s. This is your prime. Are you going to do it or not? Because you got about 10 years before you can't be starting shit. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to go try to freaking start lifting weights and be a bodybuilder. It's like, bro, you're 40. Go sit down. I, those dudes that are on stage at 40 are so dense, and you can't even fathom it until you see it in real life. It's that muscle maturity. It just takes time. There's no way you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna do it at that age, because those dudes are freaking monsters. I mean, real life, real life action figures. The 90s action figures with the kick and punch actions that had the perfect like bends at the joints and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
The He-Man, yeah, that's exactly what everyone looks like backstage. It is freaking crazy.
Yeah, man. It's funny because there's so many. I feel like there's a lot of similarities to what I went through, and similar to like what you went through. I mean, just even the failing thing, you know. I mean, before I started bodybuilding, I was like, dude, I don't think I've ever given anything like a true, just 100% effort. Always because you're like, I know I'm pretty good. Like I'm pretty good, and you're always like, everyone always knows that you're good, but you're like, ah, man, I could be great. I could be, but I got this other stuff going on in my life that I'm going to take care of too. And then this thing happens, and you never really give your 100% effort, so that you don't know, oh, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. And then all it takes is, I mean, similar to you, I mean, I use bodybuilding as a way to just get in shape, right? I lost 60 pounds to get on stage the first time. Uh, Unlike you, though, I got my ass whooped, and I was like, damn, dude. But at first it was just this cool accomplishment to be able to take my shirt off in public and feel good about it. And I was like, I look pretty good. And then the second time I was like, okay, no, I'm not last place. I'm going to be competitive. And then got eighth place, and I was like, damn, dude, do I really suck? I just need something else. And then I spent probably 6 or 7 months convincing myself that if I'm going to do this again, I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to do everything that I got to do. I'm going to give it 100% effort. No one will be more disciplined than me. No one will give more effort. And I'm going to find out what happens if I really give my 100%. And then, I mean, I showed you the other day, I messed up like 2 weeks in, and my coach was like, "Bro, I need you to get that. I need you to get it together. We're gunning for an
Yeah.
overall." And it was just the confidence that he had that I would be able to even compete for that. And I was like, wow, he really thinks that I could do something. And that was all I
Hmm.
needed. From that day on, it was like 16 weeks of nothing but whatever the hell he said. If he told me to eat dirt, I would have ate dirt 100%.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling, dude. You're like, he believes in me. I got this. No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, that's a great feeling. That's a great, like that fire, that burn in the belly. That's one of the best feelings in the world right there. Is not wanting to let someone down, because
Yeah.
wanting to feel like you don't want to let someone down means that they truly believe in you, and it takes a lot of trust for someone to believe in you. It really, really does. And I
Yeah.
think that was part of the reason why I went so hard this prep, and this freaking transformation has been so crazy, because I had some pretty crazy aspirations with that message that I sent you, and
Hmm.
and your response wasn't even, it wasn't nearly what I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to be like, yeah, dude, you need to, slow your roll, bro. Hold on. Yeah, that's all possible, but let's be real, that's going to take a really long time. Let's just get back in shape, yada, yada, yada. And you said, all right, if that's what you want, let's get it. And I said, ooh, all right, then it's possible. And that's all I needed to know, is that it was possible. And
Yeah.
even then, that was just kind of around the same time that I had saw the Aaron Banks post that I had sent you. And I was like, is this real? Like, is this transformation? Like, this was real? He really went from looking like me to looking like that. And you're like, oh yeah, yeah, I met him. He was the cool dude. And I was like, done, done deal. That's it. I'm getting it. I can fucking do it. I see that it's real. Sorry for cussing.
No, you're
But
good.
yeah, I was like, okay, that's it. That's all I needed to see, is that it was possible. And with the mindset that we had at that moment, there was no stopping it after that. That that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I mean you just said that you saw that I was all excited that you signed up and everything. But it was just interesting because for me it came at a time where I stopped competing in 2020. I officially was like, okay, I'm not going to do a show for a while in 2021, and then at some point I just said like I'm done. But for those 2 years in between all that, I was basically just working with like normal people. I was trying to move away from bodybuilding a little bit. Just because I mean, even just like imposter syndrome, you're like, man, there's so many good bodybuilding coaches out there. I don't want to compete with them. And um, I remember you sent me your pictures in the DM. Like I didn't even ask for them. You're like, this is what I look like. Can we do it? And I was like, damn, he actually looks really good. I was like, he could do it. And then when you signed up, I remember you signed up, and then I was like going somewhere, and I told my wife, I was like, oh yeah, this dude signed up. He's gonna be really good. And she's like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, I remember that, because you're. I remember because I asked you. I was like, well, I don't know if he does like bodybuilding training, because I know like he has a lot of like lifestyle clients and stuff, and that he's like not wanting to be so much into the bodybuilding thing. So I was like, do you know like who I should talk to? But I wanted you to like point me in the right direction. I didn't want to end up with some like person not knowing what they're doing, who didn't care. And like, this
Yeah,
dude seems like he cared. If he can't do it, at least he can like give me someone who's good quality, who's like him, who will care, and reach out to me and all that great stuff. Because I remember I was like, I have no idea how any of this works. That was like the first part of the message. I was like, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing, but let's go try to win an overall. And he's just like, yeah, sure, we can do it. Just
yeah,
call me. And I was like, dude, I can
yeah,
do this. Yes, let's go. And it just freaking snowballed after that, man. It really did.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I normally wouldn't say that to somebody. Usually, like people say, "Do I want to do my first show and I want to win an overall?" And for most people, you just kind of roll your eyes. You're like, "Dude, you don't even go to the gym. Like you're not winning anything.
Yeah.
Relax." Like I had when I was like early on competing, I had this dude. He said, "Yeah, man, I want to win I want to win an overall my first try." I looked at him. I was like, "Dude, you're 6'2" and you're like 150 pounds. You're not winning anything. Yeah, you got to put the work in the gym." But because you sent me
Yeah.
the pictures, I was like, oh, he actually could do it. He's got a good foundation. And for me, it came at a good time because it was like I wanted to get back into bodybuilding at least a little bit because I enjoy, like like you saw the last week. I was like, dude, the signs of peaking, I
Yeah.
love it. I don't know why, but it was just like it's so exciting to me to just
Bro.
it's like it's like high stakes chess because if you mess up, like everything's gone and you can't bring it back. And so it's
I
just,
think I
I
think we
mean,
even had that conversation again this morning, just still hyped up about it, just talking about how we were just trying to perfect the peak, and it was just like, oh man, let's go, let's go, let's go. And you can literally like feel your fire through the phone, and it was just like, man, he is fired up.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's just it's like people think like bodybuilding is just, you're just this meathead, but there's so much that goes into it, like you have to miss out on a lot by just having to eat whatever it is that you got to eat and go to the gym at whatever time. And it's not just, like throwing weight around with no real um thought to it. You're like, I need to sculpt my chest a little bit more. I need it to get bigger here. I need my upper chest to be a little bit bigger, or I need my delts. I need it to look like this. So it's like artful to be a meathead, and then just the exciting part of wanting to bring the best possible package, because even if you bring something that's like, you have like an amazing physique, if you mess up the peak or you don't pose right and you don't display it well, then it's not really going to do that much for you. And also, it's just being able to display it is like an art, and it's an art form in itself, and it's super exciting because like there's not many things where you have one shot to get it right. I mean, you got like five
Yeah,
minutes on stage. Like football, you got 4 quarters, you get all week, and you get
yeah,
16 games. How many times are you really going to compete in your life? I competed a lot. I competed like 19 times, but it's still only like, a handful of times that I went on
Jesus
stage.
Christ.
That's one football season, right?
Yeah,
So it's just like the exciting emotion that you get when you're like, this is it. And I always try to tell like you and anybody else that's like a competitor that I coach, like a lot of people get it, like they go backstage with a stick in their ass and they're like, oh, I just want to win. And they're like all nervous. I'm like, look, man, you've been dieting for 16, 20, 24 weeks. Today's the day to have fun. If there was any day to have fun, it's right now, like have
yeah,
a good time.
yeah. Oh man, I kept that message ringing in my head when I was backstage trying to like pump myself up right before I got to come outside, before they got to call me out. You're standing there on the side and you're watching the guy in front of you do his thing during prejudging real quick, and it was just like, all right, here we go. Here we go. It's my time. I'll put on the show. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. And I'm like trying to pump myself up, and then deep down inside, you're just like, oh my God, look at all these freaking people here. Don't forget to smile. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah. It's funny because like right when you're on that side of the stage and you're watching the other guy like do his routine, it's loud in there, but it's also like silent because you're just like,
Mm.
okay, I'm gonna walk to that. I gotta make sure I don't walk past it. I gotta make sure that I hit my poses. Let me look there, hit this.
Yeah.
And like it's loud, but you can't hear anybody.
Yeah. And you're worried about the expediter. You're like, oh man, I hope she doesn't have to like cut me off halfway through my routine. How long is it
Oh, that's the
supposed to
worst,
be?
yeah.
Let me make sure I turn around real quick. No, yeah. I know. Even the first time I did it, and they tell you what to do before you go out there, and I still messed up and like walked to the wrong side of the stage and like blocked everybody
Yeah.
else from walking back out there, like to the back green line or whatever. It was
Yeah.
so embarrassing. But after a while, like you realize, like, well, not necessarily, I'd say for the first day, because there was some. I didn't know that people like stayed in the NPC so long, but there was some vets there that really knew
Yeah.
what they were like, knew the ropes and all that good stuff. But that second day, you like once you realize, oh, nobody really knows what they're doing. It made things a lot easier, a lot better. We're all new here. Not necessarily new, but like this is all a new venue, a new event for us. We're all just trying to figure it out. Even the expediters are all trying to get it all organized and figured it out. Let's just take a deep breath and stay patient and smile, boys.
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about. Just enjoy your hard work that day.
Yeah, yeah. I literally spoke that message too while my group, or the group before us, like Group B or whatever, was out there in front of us, and we were sitting there waiting, and everyone was like, "Man, this is crazy." Then one of the new guys was back there, and he was like, "Ah, I shouldn't even be going out there." And I was like, "Bro, what?" You know how long this grind has been? You know how hard you work? You know how good you look right now? We're going to go out here and kill it. Go out there and put on a show. And Buddy probably did one of the best routines out of the whole group. bro was smooth, man. Very, very smooth. He's very, very
Yeah.
good. And I was very happy, very, very happy. We all killed it. Everybody was so good. It was, I'm almost getting emotional talking about it. Everybody was fantastic. But it's great though, because I guess the emotional part is because you get it, you understand, you know what they're feeling, that they're out there, and you can. You're not in that moment right there, but you can see it. It's like almost stepping outside of your own situation, and you're like, look at him shining, like all those lights on him, he's killing it. And you're like, man, this is so hard. I can't believe we're all here. We're all doing it. We all made it through this grind, and it hits you right before you go out there. It hit me. That's for sure. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
So I guess like what's one thing that you either learned or experienced that you weren't expecting or happened like more intense than you thought?
Ooh, the body chills. My when we started dropping body fat, my body was always cold. Like I was freezing at all times. At all times, we'd actually have a nice day up here in Seattle, and it'd be nice 65, and I'd have a hoodie on and a thermal jacket, and it was like my hands would still be freezing. And it's just like, man, I cannot warm up. It's like the only time I was comfortable is when I was in the gym with a hoodie on working out.
that's that's I mean that is what happens when you're super low body fat.
Yeah.
Um but I guess what's like one big win that you're super proud of accomplishing since joining? Obviously, you know, winning the overall and everything, but like outside of that.
Oh man, I would say the newfound mental fortitude, the calmness in my mind that I've been able to create, being able to work through this program and get to this point is like we were talking earlier. You said that people just think it's a meathead game. You just go and lift weights as hard as you can, lift as much weight as you can, and that's it's quite the opposite. I'd say this game is literally 80% mental. You still got to put work in. It's a grind physically, but you got to have the right mind space. You got to be able to, I guess, think outside your thoughts, if that makes any sense. Um,
Yeah.
because your head is going to tell you to quit a lot. It's going to tell you that what you're doing doesn't make sense. It's going to tell you that this is crazy. You need to stop. It's going to tell you that you're wasting your time. It is going to tell you that you are not good enough. And it is going to tell you that it is not worth it. But you got to be able to keep going through that. And I'd say that was the hardest thing outside of finishing any cardio session, outside of finishing any freaking leg day. It was the mind to keep going when it didn't want to, when you want to stop, when you are exhausted, when you got to go work out and you just got off work and you just like are completely mentally fried and you're like, I still got to go to the gym today. It's already dark outside. I started work today and it was dark. You still got to go. And that created something inside of me that I've been using for everything, like literally everything. We had a little like road rage incident, and the dude yelling through his vehicle, and I'm just sitting there, just calm as can be, which is not my normal thing. I usually would have yelled back, but it was almost comical to me, because I've picked up this new skill to think outside of my thoughts. I was like instantly going to respond, and it was like, oh, wait a second, stupid brain, don't do that. We don't do that. Continue on, carry on. And being able to stop myself, I think that is probably the most powerful thing that I've gained, outside of all the muscles and the strength and all the abs or whatever. It's freaking the mental fortitude to be able to control my thoughts. That was probably the
Yeah.
best thing I got from this prep for sure, because it turned me into a monster, a beast. It really did. Because I mean, you can lift all the weights in the world, you can do all the cardio in the world, but if your mindset isn't right, it's just gonna beat you down, man. You got to have the right mindset to get through the prep.
Yeah. Yeah, man, people talk about discipline and all that stuff, and I like to just call it just self-control, you know, like do you have control over what you're doing? Do you have control over your actions? You know, because anybody can do the workouts or eat diet food when they want to, but more often than
Yeah.
not on prep, you don't want to eat or work out, right? Like you want to just chill. You want to be
Yeah.
lazy. You want to go to sleep. But every time you do the things that you're supposed to do, you get a little bit more confident. And somebody that I follow, they said self-confidence is doing what you said you were going to do, you know, being exactly who you say you are. And every time you do the things that you say you're going to do, you get more and more confident because there's no doubt in your mind that the way you see yourself in your head is exactly what you are, because you always do the things that you say you're going to do. And
Yep.
even the road rage thing, man, like I was telling one of my other clients before, he asked me something, it was like personal or something, and he's like, how would you respond? He asked me if he should do something petty, and I was like, well, is that who you want to be, you know?
Hmm.
Because everybody wants to be a little bit petty sometimes, but at the end of the day, if you have the mental capacity to, you know, take yourself out of being in the moment and think big picture, like, who do I want to be? Because if I want to be this person, if I want to be a role model, if I want to be a high value man, if I want to be a great parent, all of those things, you have to do those things every day, or else you're not that. And then that's why, if you're not doing those things, that's why you lack confidence, because you say that you're one thing and you act like an asshole. And that's where there's that huge disconnect. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely, bro. Yeah, the accountability is like being able to hold yourself accountable. It's the probably the best thing you can do for yourself. Taking yourself out of situations and not instantly responding. It can change a lot. It can change a lot because you realize that, man, I made that decision in haste. I made that decision when I was upset. I shouldn't have said that. Or I wish I couldn't have taken that back. Or I wish I wouldn't have done that. A lot of those things can be avoided if you just take a second to take a deep breath and breathe. But again, that is a skill that has to be learned. That's something that has to be worked on every day. Skills are things that you have to, the craft, you have to build on it. Just like bodybuilding, you have to work every day at it. So, I mean, along with building your body, you got to be able to train your mind. You got to be able to work on it every single day. Take that 30 minutes to do some mental push-ups or whatever you got to do, clear your head and make sure that you're present. And that's step one. When you can be present in any situation, that's how you can bring yourself back from outlashing, from screaming at people, from just being upset. You realize what's going on and you realize that, hey, that person may just be having a really bad day, or that person's parent may have just passed away, kind of deal. They need an outlet and you happen to be there. And then you may even turn around and look at it like, man, I was grateful that I was there for that person to yell at, instead of them taking it out on their kids when they get home or something like that. You just got to be positive and keep the right mindset, like I said before, and it can be life changing. As I'm a true testament to that. And it's how long as it took me to get to that point. I'm glad I'm finally here. I really really am. I plan to
Yeah.
use all these skills to my full advantage, and I can't wait to even learn more.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like when you're going through all the shitty times, you're like, man, this sucks. And then afterwards, you're just like, oh, it makes sense. You know, like I'm
Mm,
exactly where I need to be. I wouldn't
yeah.
be able to do the things I'm doing now, which I fully love and enjoy and I appreciate, without having gone through all that other stuff.
Oh yeah. And I think that really comes to like we were talking about the training regimen, the discipline that it takes to be successful in bodybuilding. I know I've won one event, and before that, I hadn't done anything to really talk about outside of old college and high school sports. So, I mean, you can take it with a grain of salt, but it's important. It's very important.
Yeah. So, what would you say to someone who is on the fence or skeptical about joining Team Lionhearted?
Get in the chopper. Come on, let's go. If you want to be happy and successful and have a coach that's super chill, that's really there for you, that will talk to you at any time, any 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, when you're stressed out. He's a great guy. Treats me just like family. Um, quickly has turned into one of my best friends. We talk about a lot more stuff than just nutrition and bodybuilding, and it's becoming a really enjoyable friendship that I'd never even thought I would have had. So I would say Team Lionhearted is definitely the way to go. He believed in me from the beginning, even when I didn't really believe in myself. And the messages that I've sent him, I mean, we got receipts. The things that I said I wanted to do, and not once did he tell me that I was tripping. He just said, "All right, well, this is the work that's required." And that's all I asked, is to let me know what's required and give me the right key. And he gave me all the keys I need and then some. I can forever grateful, for sure.
Yeah, damn, that's dope, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So tell the people what's next for you. What you got going on?
Oh man, coming up next is Ben Weeder's Naturals. We're 198 days out from today.
But who's counting?
Right. Hey, every day matters, bro. Every day matters. That's what I learned up there on that stage, for sure. You think you're good enough, you're not. Be better. That's
Yeah,
that's definitely one of the big lessons that I took away. There's always someone better. There's always someone bigger. There's always someone tighter. There's always someone with better abs or whatever. But the one thing that you can't control is the effort that you put in. You give that maximum effort every day, you'll be completely happy with your outcome, regardless if you walk away with a medal or not. And that was a lesson I learned the first day. So it was a lesson filled weekend, for sure. And I'm very grateful for that.
so man, yeah. So 198 days, and we'll be fighting for a pro card. We'll see what
Yes,
happens.
yes. And we're gonna bring it. I mean, as hard as we push this last prep, I think we can turn it up even another notch. And I'm excited and ready to do that. I'm chomping at the bit. But right before we even started this, I was looking at game tape, looking at ways to improve my posing, make things look better, and looking at body parts that we can bring up, and just trying to put together a plan in my head, of plan of attack, because I'm still so hungry. I spent 10 years in the dark. I spent 10 years trying to figure it out. 10 years trying to get to this feeling, this point in my life, and now I'm finally here. So they're gonna have to deal with me. That's for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. Always love your competitive spirit, man. So if they want to follow you, what's your where can they follow you?
You can check me out on Instagram at Just Reagans, JUSTREAGANS. Other than that, I'm pretty low key. Just fair warning, my page doesn't have a whole bunch of bodybuilding stuff on it.
It's got a lot of trees and a lot of
Yeah,
sky.
I like being outside. I like going on hikes. So if you like that kind of stuff and camping, I got that going for you too. But we are working on me being more about the whole working out and bodybuilding posting thing, especially because I've gotten such good feedback. So I'm trying to put that out there more, because it seems to be helping other people as well. And I think that is kind of the whole point of this. It's kind of quickly turning out to be bigger than me, and I'm starting to realize that, and realizing how many people that I can help just by helping myself. And I wish I would have realized it longer, but hey, I realized it now, and I'm gonna do what I can with it to bring as many people with me, man. That's all I want to do.
Yeah,
Make the world happy. Make them all in shape.
that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on here.
Yes, sir. Thanks for
Well,
thanks for having me. Hope I didn't stutter too much.
you're good, man. We'll
Yeah,
see
for
you
sure.
guys next time.